Blessed be. Today is April 5th, and it is National First Contact Day. So for the Star Trek fans, in the year 2063, on April 5th, is the historic first interaction between humans and Vulcans. Are you a Star Trek fan? Do you have a favorite series that you prefer to watch? I would say I grew up watching Star Trek The Next Generation. I am a super big fan of Patrick Stewart and just the whole cast. It's just one of those series, like when you catch it on TV, just always glad it's on. It isn't necessarily something you want to flip over. At work today, it's Tuesday, so I facilitate the weekly meeting with my teammates, and today our topic of conversation was kind of discussing tips and tricks for recreating a floor plan. You know, how often we get a JPEG or just an old PDF, and sometimes even a napkin drawing that you want a decent looking, you have to recreate it because you want a decent looking floor plan to represent your work. You know, some sort of building system components of, various degrees. And I got to present some of the blocks I'd been working on. Some of them were like customer specific blocks, stuff that had come through their past backgrounds. So I've collected a couple of those that I can turn into dynamic blocks, mainly just putting in rotate or align. You know, if it's something that goes on the wall, give it the align capabilities. Doors. I want to get fancy and in control with my doors. Got a regular 3-foot door and just trying to incorporate various flips, and you want to flip it this way, you want to flip it that way. I don't know if I want various sizes because we're usually just doing representational. Been messing with getting the door jamb. I like seeing the door jamb on there sometimes, and I have to admit it's just causing me such a headache. I'm not sure how much I like it versus maybe just having a cut mark or for the wood. I don't know. I'm still debating. And so I presented some of those, and once they kind of get a little more completed, I'd love to be able to put them into a tool palette. So when it's time to recreate a floor plan, you can open this particular tool palette, and there's a whole bunch of handy little blocks, system components, maybe particular for a job. And this is just the general floor plan stuff. These aren't the blocks that we actually work with for our building systems. This is a room name block, and those little shenanigans. I actually like having a toilet handy because sometimes when you get the napkin drawings, they may designate a restroom. And, especially with a napkin drawing, that the space is usually not drawn to scale. So if you can show where the bathroom is, because those usually don't change in floor plans. I mean, it takes a lot of work to redo plumbing. So those are a good reference point for somebody to navigate on site. What else? Ooh, the mline function. I don't know how many of you are familiar with mline. I am actually new to using mline, and I like it. I did a real deep dive into it. What can it do? The variable settings, the way you do the offset. Say for a 4-inch wall, you would actually set up your parameters to be +2 and -2 versus 0 to 4. And I literally ran all the variables to see why that was. And it was kind of neat. What I found out was if you have a 4-inch wall from 0 to 4, and you put your justification when you go to insert the line to 0, it will create the base point at the bottom. And of course, if you choose bottom, then it chooses the bottom again. So by offsetting to a negative and positive, you keep your 0, 0. And if you select that as your justification when you make the line, then your justification goes to the center. I thought that was a pretty cool find, so I am pleased to see how that works. So I set all mine to be the positive, negative. This way, the user can adapt the tool as needed, because you'll want to measure from the bottom if you know the particular dimensions you want to hit for the interior, not the center line. If you have it set to the center line, the negative space between the two lines, and you need an 8-foot wall and you type in 8 feet and turn your corner, your line, your interior wall length is actually then 7'10", because it's losing the 2 inches because that 8 feet is to the center. Interesting tip. So, yeah, that was today. That was our, the whole point of the meeting. Another coworker talked about their process, offsetting, filleting, copying, measurements, and stuff like that. They have their full version of AutoCAD now, and they just have not switched over. And they said they could not use mline on AutoCAD Lite. But then I just called him a slacker and told him to get installed in the full version and come join us with all the express commands, because that's really what makes it. We don't do really much in 3D work. It's all about the express commands to need the full version of CAD. So it was a really good meeting today. I think everybody liked the idea of new tips and tricks to implement maybe mline themselves. I think in a future meeting, I might maybe create an exercise so we can all actually touch the mline and, just get a little more comfortable using it. Because I know when it comes to getting, implementing a new tool, it's really hard to get buy-in. Everybody's very comfortable with their muscle memory. So, yeah. So, good meeting today. And next week, we're going to kind of do more of tips and tricks. If you would like to hear more entries into the CAD Witch's Grimoire, hit subscribe. Until then, live long and prosper.